Okay, we just experienced something with our local high school, Minooka Community High School. I live in Channahon, Illinois, Channahon, and we have a town right next to us, Minooka, Minooka. Minooka is probably best known for being the birthplace of Ron Swanson. You know, the guy from Parks and Recs with the mustache. He was born in Minooka. His dad's the mayor of Minooka. These are the two smallish towns that we live in. 13, 14,000 people here, 12,000 there. We share high schools. It's Minooka Community High School. Any hoodles. We put two kids through the school system here, and now our son's going into high school. And we just had the fall sports parents meeting, which we never had with our two girls. I mean, first of all, Magnolia didn't play any sports in high school because her predominant sport, the sport that she played was softball. And if you don't make the freshman team, you don't ever make the sophomore, junior, or senior team. And the day of freshman tryout, she was in gym class and was bouncing on one of those like big giant balls that you sit on in gym class, and she did this to her ankle. And so she went to try out, but couldn't really do anything. And the coach was like, "You need to heal up. I can't put you on the team." And so her high school athletics career was over before it ever began. She still played for her travel team. I mean, she played travel softball, or league softball in some way, shape, or form since she was like 8 or 9, and she pitched for her team all the way through her high school years. And I think maybe even a year or two afterwards. I can't remember. But we never did high school sports with her. And Lily only went to our local high school her freshman year because she got accepted into the Illinois Math and Science Academy, IMSA, out in Aurora, which is a boarding school for kids that are supposed to go on to do something with math or science. And so she only went to school her freshman year here, didn't play sports. I don't believe she did other activities, and then played sports for the played softball for the team the school that she lived at for the remaining 3 years of her high school career. So this is the first time we've ever experienced this with Minooka High School, and it was a fall parents meeting. So it's the parents from all the fall sports, and it's cheerleading, and it's volleyball, and it's football, and it's all kinds of sports. And we're all in the bleachers at the high school, and the various coaches and athletic directors and whatnot, the people that are running all of this are telling you about all of what's going to happen and expectations. And I want to talk about that particular message that they sent, because I loved what I heard. If I'm being completely honest with you, they obviously give you a certain amount of time to start actually developing a grade point average, but then they start checking your grade point average, and if you're failing a class, you're going to be off the team. You got to be. I'm sorry. Let me back up. You got to be passing 5 classes, and so they specifically said, like, seniors, if you only took 5 classes your senior year and you're struggling with one, you're going to get kicked off your team. So maybe, and they were talking to the freshman parents, maybe 6 classes, so that if there is a struggle class, it doesn't affect their athletic eligibility. I kind of liked what they were talking about there. We're gonna strictly adhere to the eligibility. And listen, if my kid doesn't cut the grade, then he's off too. So I mean, that's the way it should be. And they talked about how when you're out and about and you've got a shirt on, a hoodie on, a hat on, a pair of sweatpants, whatever, that has that school name and logo, you are not just representing yourself, you're representing the school. And listen, I don't think that the kids who go to that school represent that school everywhere they go, but if you choose to wear a shirt that says, "I'm from this school," Minooka High School, yeah, then you're representing that school. Yes, you are. So they expect you to behave and act as they would want you to act in general public when you're wearing that sort of stuff. If you're caught at a party that has drugs, alcohol, or tobacco, even if you're not partaking, first offense, you're going to lose 25% of your playing time. Second offense, 50%. Third offense, you're off the team. Listen, as somebody that consumes cannabis and was a partier in high school, uh, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's, hang on a second. Sorry, my wife was leaving. Wanted to tell her goodbye. Um, I don't have a problem with that, right? I still think that we have too much of a negative outlook on cannabis in general when it comes to this society. But when it comes to kids in high school, no, I got no problem with that, none whatsoever. Um, and they just, here's one that we talked about in greater detail once we left. And with our friends and whatnot, once we left the meeting. Practices are mandatory. Excused practices include things like you're in the hospital, there's a funeral, a family funeral that you have to attend to, but routine doctors and dentist and ortho appointments are not considered excused absences. And my knee jerk reaction to that as a parent was, well, you're limiting my options as a parent to get my child to the doctor, to the dentist, to the ortho. And then when I took a moment to think about it for just a second longer, it was, yes, you're limiting my options. However, what you're teaching my child, and it's something that we have tried to teach all of our children, is you are expected in the real world to show up and do your job. When you're in school, your job is school. So you are expected to show up and do your job. That means you're expected to be there as many days as humanly possible, have as few absentees as humanly possible, because that equates in the real world to calling in for work. You get so many of those, and all of a sudden you're looking for a new fucking job. Of course, depending on what type of job you have and how important you are to that job, because that's just the way the world works as well. But and you need to do your work. You need to do your homework. You need to produce. You can't just turn in nothing but F's and then go, well, I showed up and I did the work. Right, but that you didn't produce anything. School is teaching you what the real world is like. Do we need to change the real world in some ways? Maybe. Maybe in some areas. Maybe we need to give a little bit less of our lives to our jobs and have a better work-life balance. But that's what school is. It is teaching you what the real world is. And the athletics that go along with the education, first of all, it's all voluntary. Nobody's making you do it. And secondly, it's an extension of the school. You're expected to show up and do your fucking work, right? My son plays, right now, he plays offensive tackle. I never pegged him for an old lineman, but for his age, he's got some height and some shoulders, some size to him. So okay, I get it, right? So he's expected to be there every day and practice, keep his fucking mouth shut and his ears open, right? And then perform, do your job. If you're taking days off left and right, you don't get to just take a day off to go to have a doctor's appointment in this country, unfortunately. And so I initially had a problem with that, and then I thought about it, and I was like, that's what the fucking real world is like. So I can't really have too much of a problem with it. So I really like I said, we've not had to deal with the athletics department with the high school in all of the time we've had kids going through the school system. Now we're in the athletic department. I like what I see. I do wish, I'm gonna be blatantly honest with you, I do wish some of the money that we've given to the athletic department as a whole could be, some of that money should have gone to like educational purposes over the years, but that's an argument for a different time. The athletic department is doing a fine job. They're sending a good message, and I think that they're holding these kids to the accountability that the real world is going to hold them to. So I like what I see so far. I think it's going to be a very positive, have a very positive effect on the lad. Watch this space. More to come, I guess.